I feel like a lot of people are kind of confused about the continuity of James Gunn's The Thunderbolts. It's kind of a sequel, but also a soft reboot that just has Nicky Fury, Gwenpool, and Winter Soldier from the last film. And speaking about Winter Soldier, he's like a million times better in this, even with a comic accurate design. He's the same actor from the first film, which shows how much an actor can improve. I really liked Idris Elba as Taskmaster, incredibly comic accurate suit of a very underutilized character. Even if it's pretty obvious he was originally meant to be Will Smith's Bullseye returning. Sly Stone as Abomination is so funny as this big chubby monster thing. Margot Robbie continues to be flawless as Gwenpool, given that they're continuing some plot lines from this film. Given that they're continuing some plot lines from this film in the new universe, I don't think this will be our last time seeing Margot as Gwenpool, but even if it is, she does go out with a bang and finally gets the Lady Deadpool outfit. John Cena's Punisher is the role that cements that he is actually a great actor, more than just a wrestler turned an actor. He's funny as hell, dramatic, and then his spin-off series is just amazing. So funny, so emotional, so willing to deal with gender issues and toxic masculinity, mostly due to his dad, a very let-himself-go Robert Patrick. His Jigsaw, and then he gets the Crimson Dynamo armor that inspires the new Punisher skull. Of course, my boy Wade Wilson Deadpool in this is so funny. And the whole Secret Invasion storyline. Anyways, back to the Thunderbolts. The Spy is one of my favorite, kind of silly, underutilized villains from the comics. Never thought that we would actually see him in a film and just portrayed so well and so emotionally. Same could be said for Ghost, who's the heart of the movie. Her backstory is so real and sad, and I love her connections with Taskmaster. Nicky Fury is still great, and I like all the different S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And Shuma Garaf being the big villain at the end is something that I wasn't really seeing coming. I love that someone was brave enough to actually bring this character to life. And I know it's the Thunderbolts, but I do have a problem with just how much they kill off a lot of these characters. That definitely could have been used more. Like Michael Rooker is Crimson Dynamo, or Jai Courtney's Craven is just unceremoniously killed off. Or Kang, Pete Davidson of all people as Two Gun Kid. Nathan Fillion as Armless Tiger Man. Spot's death was definitely a joke, and I wish it wasn't in the film. And I hate that we got a good Winter Soldier adaptation just for Punisher to kill him. But anyways, this movie's great still. Dwayne Johnson Sentry tried so hard to turn the whole Marvel extended universe around and make it centered around him for whatever reason, of all characters. I do like the character of Sentry, but it's kind of weird. They put him in Disney's multiverses. They had a whole Roblox tie-in. He was at the end of Super Pets. Dwayne Johnson is a good performer, but he's got a mountain of an ego. He just didn't want to lose a fight to Captain Marvel, so made his own separate movie and tried so hard to just take the Marvel license and make it around himself. Luckily it failed, but there are some casualties like the Defenders, Goliath, Moon Knight, Storm, and the literal perfect casting of Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Strange. All these characters are so good, and they could have been in an Avengers sequel, but they're so wasted just to make Dwayne Johnson look cool. And then out of nowhere, there's The Void. In post-credits, it's our sadly last appearance of the Calval America. Captain Marvel, Fury of the Gods is actually kind of good. Zachary Levi might be really controversial right now, but he's still a good performing in the role. The unique villains of the Daughters of Atlas are pretty cool, even if it was obviously meant to be Sentry. The film's really funny. I think it's really cute Captain Marvel has a crush on Black Widow. The whole ending with the dragons, really cool. It definitely has some problems, which could have definitely been fixed. But overall, I did kind of think this was alright. In the post-credits, where the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. try to recruit Captain Marvel to Defenders, it's kind of funny, especially because he thought it was the Avengers with Black Widow. But then now, because of the new rebooted timeline coming, it's kind of weird, because it's not canon. I don't know. Ezra Miller's The Spider-Man is almost good. I like the suit concept and design. It's a lot better than his original one. But I don't know why they use so much CGI in it. The CGI in this film is so freaking bad, it looks like they just started it. It looks like CGI from 1993, not 2023. I almost love the dark humor of Spider-Man has to rescue a bunch of babies who are not just falling from a great height, but also into very dangerous situations. Then the PlayStation 1 graphics just ruin it. The film's loosely adapting Spider-Man Web of Time, which feels a little too soon for that kind of thing for being his first solo film, and because this film was in development since, Avengers. So, of course, when Peter time travels to save Aunt May, he ends up also saving Uncle Ben. He thinks it's a great timeline, but oh no, it's a Doom timeline. And Ezra Miller, again, is weird, but he does great in this role, especially having to also play Ben Reilly. This is sadly our farewell to Jeffrey Irons, Alfred, and our last appearance of Iron Fleck, who's wearing very, very ugly armor in this film. Speaking of, because multiverse, we have the GOAT himself, Michael Keaton, returning as Iron Man. And yeah, like everyone, I know that he's great in the role, but it feels kind of weird. There's no reference at all to Iron Lad, and given the source material, and given who is cast as Howard Stark in Civil War, Peacemaker from Zack Snyder's Watchmen, why couldn't this be Howard Stark as War Machine? But this was meant to spin off into an Iron Man 2020 film, with Keaton, and apparently even Michelle Pfeiffer returning as Black Cat. And I love Iron Man Beyond, and wish we just got a separate movie about that instead of this. I wonder who would have played Harley Keener. And I hope they would have adapted Melanie as Pawn, given that they were also going to do the Black Cat Iron Man relation. They got Keaton, and they brought Linda Carter for Black Widow 84, so why couldn't she be in this film? I mean, Gal Gadot is also in this film, so they definitely could have done the whole Web of Time plot where Black Widow couped the Russian government with the Red Room girls and red waved into Europe. As Thor and the armies of Asgard invaded Midgard, could have even had it be Loki, like in his film. Sarah Cole as Shannon Carter, American Dream, is great in the role. I don't even mind that she's not blonde. But I don't know why they brought Red Skull back from Man Out of Time as the main villain at the end. I mean, this is a Spider-Man film. I like the big car chase at the beginning, but why couldn't these be just like Sinister Six members? This film was in development before the Thunderbolts, so they could have used Jai Courtney's Kraven. Maybe orchestrated by Doc Ock. Be like the source material, so when the new timeline hits, that he's like a good guy. And given the source material, how is Green Goblin not in this movie? He was the main villain in Web of Time. We kinda have Venom, but he's just a bunch of shrapnel attached to a variant of Ben Reilly trying to stop Peter from resetting everything again. And oh yeah, there's a whole cameos which are handled so assly it hurts. Like 90s Flash as Uncle Ben Spider, made in a computer. Like, why couldn't they get the actual guy? He's still around. And how couldn't they get the Grant Gustin in here? I mean, the two have fucking met, so why couldn't they just reuse this clip? Adam West 66 Iron Man, George Reeve, Christopher Reeve, Captain America, Nick Cage finally gets to be 90s Captain America with Helen Slater returning as American Dream. All AI. It's one thing for some college kid to make, oh, it's Chester Bennington singing Somebody I Used to Know on AI. It's another for a multi-billion-dollar company to use it. They didn't even get permission to use their faces at all, which is, like, double worse. It's also a bit weird because, like, Christopher Reeves, like, Brendan Roths is kind of meant to be the same Captain America with the whole Civil War black on his uniform. But then, like, also, why bother with this AI shit? Like, you own the rights to all of this footage. You could have just, like, showed clips from all these movies and stuff of them, like you did in the X-Men series when Wolverine goes through the multiverse, and look, sees clips from different shows of Marvel products they own. And they could have just got Nicolas Cage in for like a day to film himself as Captain America. But either way, the timeline's reset, everything's back to normal, and George Clooney's the new Tony Stark, returning from Iron Man and Lad. And in an original post-credits, it was going to be revealed that Iron Fleck was somehow sent into the nightmare reality, but whatever. The Beetle is a real nice breath of fresh air after that bullshit. Now, the Beetle's one of my favorite characters, and I love them all equally, but I kind of like the second one the most. Wish we got that buddy cop film with Wonder Man. But he actually is in the series, kind of. Like, he's not really in the film, but, like, his presence is. And his daughter, Janice. Joaquin is also a great Beetle, and I love his portrayal in this film. His family is just so good, man. It's just so good recreating the comics. Gary Quinn's Beetle is okay of a villain with a setup for Ultron that didn't go anywhere. Lila Davis is a more unique villain, being the mother of Janice. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, and I'm just glad that he's going to be one of the ones crossing over in a new timeline. And our story about the Marvel Extended Universe ends with Thor: The Lost Realm. It's actually a pretty good film, not as great as the first one. Jason Momoa is still great. I like seeing him become a father, is really cute. The whole global warming plot is handled well. Gore the God Butcher getting an extended role as the new main villain, getting the sword and it's slowly corrupting him. He's doing it all because he's getting tricked into unlocking Malekith the Accursed, Sparta Alfheim, the Dark Elf home. Malekith does exactly what he needs to in this film, but I don't know why they needed him to be played by Euron Greyjoy. But it's really cool seeing Thor and Loki team up, and they have great chemistry. It is pretty obvious they trimmed down as much as they could of Jane Foster in this film because Amber Heard did her terrible thing around this point. They even had this whole fake out death with her by Gore that they probably should have just stuck to. Grandma Frigg is in desperate need of more screen time, and she definitely should have been at the climax, helping her two sons in Dark Elfheim. All the action in this film is great, but there's definitely a lot of things at the ending I would change, like when Loki was possessed by the Necro Sword. When he does the whole blood ritual with Thor, this definitely should have been the point where Thor lost his arm like in the comics. Kind of a parallel to that one John Lee Davies High Elf that also lost his hand. And then when Malekith was awakening and Dark Elfheim was opening up, and he's about to win, we see Loki grab Mjolnir just to toss it to Thor so he gets the ending. They had this whole setup of Malekith being a parallel to Loki, being Bor, Odin's father's brother who betrayed him, and Loki's being evil again because of the Necro Sword. This definitely should have been him defying destiny and completing his character arc of redemption and being the one to kill Malekith. And then at the end, where Thor introduces Midgard to all of Asgard and agrees to help out the world and its pollution, he should have also abdicated the throne back to Loki, who's more of a capable ruler, as set up at the beginning of the film. And also a parallel of him kind of looking more like classic Thor and Jason Momoa looking more like Avengers Unlimited Thor. But no, instead, in all that 10 years of work and billions of dollars, the MCU ends with Loki eating a cockroach burger. And apparently, despite the Ironheart film being done, it's going to be sitting on a shelf, completely finished, never to see the light of day, not even just dumped on the streaming service without a care. Even though, when it was originally supposed to release, Brendan Fraser as the main villain, Firebrand would have literally been the perfect time because Brendan Fraser came back into popularity and everyone remembered how awesome he was. But either way, James Gunn is going to reboot the Marvel Universe, starting with Legion of Monsters, the animated series of all things, then a Nick Fury series, Captain America Legacy, now just Captain America, a Nova series, Squadron Supreme for some reason, Red Room, the Widow series, Invincible Iron Man, Wonder Man the series, American Dream, America's Tomorrow, and Man-Thing, starting out our roster. I am very cautiously optimistic about the new reboot, as everyone should be when there is something brand new and they haven't seen it yet. But let me know your guys' opinions down below, as well as hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed.